here this morning to welcome Isa Masari, media specialist for FEMA, and he happens to be in the city of Dearborn here in Michigan. And he's going to shed some information for those of us who have been stricken and are victimized by the past floods in June and July. Welcome aboard, Isa. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. And good morning to you and all our listeners.
Okay, great. Tell us, why are you here in Detroit?
First of all, FEMA is here to help the survivors of the June 25th to 26th flood. So one thing FEMA does is to come here, establish what we call disaster recovery centers. And the other thing is to also establish disaster document drop-off centers. First of all, we had about 5 disaster centers that we established here. Originally, there are 6, but yesterday, 1 was closed. So the disaster recovery center, these are the centers where survivors or applicants can come in, apply, bring in their documentation, show that their houses have been flooded. So once you apply, then the process starts, how FEMA is going to help. This is an effort by the state and FEMA. The other one is the document drop-off center, the DDCs. So what happened at the DDCs, if you are not able to come to the centers, then you can go to the document drop-off centers and drop off your documents. They will be scanned, then your application processed. At the same time, you have FEMA staff that are qualified to ask and assist you go through the process. If any document is missing, they will let you know that the document is missing, this is what is required, then you bring it, then complete the process. But again, if you go to DRCs, that is the Disaster Recovery Center, you also sit there with staff that will go through your process, the application process. Then you can ask about your status. Then you have a FEMA number that will give you, that will enable you to follow up on whatever the process is, where you are on that particular application process. And if anything is missing, they will also let you know that a document is missing or the application is incomplete. Then you can ask as many questions as you want. At the same time, from this center, they will also direct you to other state or nonprofit organizations that have resources. Because mind you, FEMA is just part of a whole process, working with states, non-governmental organizations, and others to help in the process. So once you are done with that, they will also refer you to other available resources that you can also access.
Okay, now that's a lot of information, and it's good information as well. Tell us about the documentations that one should prepare before they arrive at these centers.
First of all, you have to establish that this is your residence, then you were there when the flood occurred. So you just have to prove documents of a residency, your bills, or anything that pertains to ownership. Then at the same time, you can also bring in your ID card, which they will also ask you of. Then at the same time, the time span, or you can show photos or anything that will enable the FEMA or staff to see the damage that has been caused. So that is the other thing. If you are a renter, you can also establish that you are a resident there. You can also bring in some of your documentation or payslip just to show that this is your address, this is your home, this is where you are. So those are the things that are required for the initial stage. Then, of course, when you are there, they will look at them, copy them, then start your application process and give you a number. later on, I will let you know the addresses and the places where we have these recovery centers and the document drop-off centers.
Okay, now you have the documentation. You've talked to the intake specialist. How long does it take? Can you walk out of there with a check, or how long does it take for you to receive funding?
This is just an application process. Once you get there, you apply, then FEMA look at your case. It's also dependent case by case basis, but latest you can say within maybe a month, one month, 30 days, you will hear from FEMA. So it doesn't mean that immediately you are there, then you get a check, because they have to, this is the application process. You just have to apply, then they will look at it, and of course they'll get back to you immediately your process is done.
Okay, now there's a lot of misconception about what FEMA will cover. People feel like their whole house can be made whole. Their furniture, their knickknacks on the wall, pictures, things of that nature, washers, dryers, furnaces, water heaters. What type of things will FEMA grant monies for?
FEMA will fund and help in getting your house for what we call immediate need. So, which means the other process, the other furnace and other issues, those are addressed down the line. But initially, we just want to make sure that the house is livable. Your house is disinfected. Your house, you are able to take care of it. Then, of course, they will also help along the line if there is a process during your application so that you can clean up that house. So it doesn't mean that FEMA has to cover everything. That is why there are other resources that they will refer you to. The states, non-governmental organizations, volunteer organizations that you can go to and apply. Some of them will provide volunteers to clean your house. But what is the main focus is to make the house a livable place again. That is what FEMA will focus on. And it depends on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Now, also, I understand that SBA offers loans, low-interest loans to individuals and businesses. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
SBA will be able to explain more about their process, but we work in partnership with SBA, which is also helping small businesses and individuals. That is a whole different process. So, but FEMA is the first stop so that you can get in the process and you'll be referred to them so that you can also take advantage of that opportunity. So just as the states, the nonprofit organizations, and other volunteer services that are normally, if you go to the DRCs, for example, in Kameni, you will see that there are also nonprofit organizations there and other representatives from the states. So they also have resources that maybe you are not aware of that they will be able to refer you to. We also have the mitigation process where you can go and meet with a FEMA staff that will also explain to you how to mitigate flooding and future disasters. Then you also have help, legal help from FEMA. You have a hotline where you can call so that you also have legal advice from. So all of these are processes that you can leverage. You can have when you get to the process of applying. So there are many doors that are open. So the best thing is we always ask people, please do not wait. Go and apply. Meet FEMA staffers. They will explain to you what is needed, how the process goes. It doesn't mean that everything is lost. That is why FEMA is here, so that you can make good time and opportunity to take and get the process and get into the process.
Okay, now, where has FEMA concentrated in terms of the help that they've offered in the state of Michigan? Now, I have a graph here. I'd like you to kind of help me out and explain. So I'll share a screen here.
Okay.
First of all, we'll do this one.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening here.
Oh, thank you, Aaron. First of all, this is the amount of grant. As you can see, $65 million. That is as of the 15th of August. That is FEMA housing grant and on insured losses for temporary houses. So these are the amounts that have been granted to the state, which is being sort of like the amount that is there. But mind you, these figures keep changing because as more people start to apply, the amount changes. So I will send you updated figures that we have. The 13 million is FEMA other needs assistance for personal property and replacement. So this is money that has already been given as a grant that is related, as we are saying. So some people lost personal cars, some of them their chairs. So when you apply, if you qualify, you can get also grants for all of these processes or to address this. For the SPA, as you see, that is the figure about 30 million that they also are giving out for loans. So in all, we can say this amount keep changing. And of course, this is when the application process is going on. And we also have, as you can see here, about 650 million in flood insurance claim paid already. So as I said, as the application process goes on, people will see that these figures keep changing. So this one gives you just a brief and an infogram so that people can see exactly what is happening.
Okay, very good, very good. And I have another graph here. If you could help me out and hold on.
Yes, then the other thing, let me just explain that okay, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Oh, fine. This was what I was going to tell you about. So yes, yes, as of yesterday, that is on Thursday, we have one disaster recovery center, that is the Eaton Senior Recreation Center, which was in Padre Avenue. So that one closed yesterday, but they were there from, in fact, I was there till they closed, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The last individual applicant walked in, I know exactly the time, that was 6:03 p.m. And he was there till almost 6:50 when they were packing and closed at 7. So on to the last moment, there was an applicant there, but it was closed yesterday. Then we have Ypsilanti Township Civil Center. That was where the document drop-off center was. That was another one, that is the DDC, where people can go around that area to drop off their documentation and application. That they are scanned, then they are given an application number. So that one also closed yesterday. I was there early in the morning. I stayed there till almost midday to 1, just to see that everything was fine. So that one was closed. Grosse Pointe was another one. After that, I went to Grosse Pointe. I also see they were also preparing to close. That was also a document drop-off center where people drive in. That was the fire, I think the fire station. So people drive in, they drop their document, they are scanned if there is anything that is missing. So that process also, they started from 7, then they closed at 7 p.m. yesterday. So those 3 centers have been closed. But yet still, people can go to any of these other centers, the Ford Library, Centennial Library, the Harold Ford Centennial Library. We have another document of, a disaster recovery center there. They can go there. So even if you are not from, even if you are from Ypsilanti or from Dearborn Heights, you can go to Henry Ford Center there and apply. You can go to Kimeni, that is still open. So these are centers that are open now. Then we have the Maplewood Community Center, where we also have the Disaster Recovery Center that is open there in Garden City. So here we can also say anyone around that area or close, you can also go in there, you file your application. So is Lightning Technical Center that is in Dickinson Avenue. This is also a disaster recovery center that is open. So they are operating. Mind you, when the document drop-off centers were closed, another one was open. So we have one at the Peace and Goodwill Baptist Church that is in Vermont Street. So if you go there in Harperwood, it is also open. Then we have the Hamtramck City Hall. That is another disaster recovery center that was open recently. So that one is also open. So people in Hamtramck can go there and get their documents and application process. So in a whole, Harold, that means FEMA is bringing the centers, the application process to the people very close to where they are as much as possible. So instead of having to run from one end to another, you can just go very close to where you are. Then there is also the possibility of going to FEMA app, using FEMA app, that is FEMA app. You can apply there. Then you are also, they have the disasterassistance.gov, that is the website where you can also apply. So there are all different ways to reach out to survivors. There you have the 800 number, which is 800-621-32262. That is the hotline or the phone line that you can also call to apply. It is 800-621-FEMA or 32262. So you can also call that line. Somebody will be on the line to help you do the process. So in a whole, if you also want to follow up on what is happening with the Disaster Recovery Center, with the application process and with this flood process that is from June 25th to 26th, you can also go to FEMA.gov/disaster/4607. 4607, that is the disaster number. So these are all available resources. And mind you, when we are talking about deadline, people were thinking that, oh, FEMA is going to close, the disaster recovery centers are closing now. No, we are not closed. We are here till September and as much as needed. So which means the deadline to apply is September 13, 2021. So within this time, you can go to any of the documentation centers and drop off your documents, or you go to the disaster recovery centers to get the process going. So this is how FEMA operates, bringing you the resources right where you are, very close to the process. We know these are times when people are stressed, when people are going through difficult times, especially after flood, after disasters. So in a whole, we try to make sure that we work with them, we listen to them, we bring the resources that are needed so that they can get back to their normal life and continue.
Well, that's very good. That's all good news. That's excellent, excellent information, Isa. And I'd like to tell our viewers and readers that we will have this information posted. We do have this information posted currently on tellususa.com and tellusdetroit.com. So you can find the addresses and the phone numbers and the websites on our website to get this important information and the help that you may need during these difficult times post-flood. So is there anything else that you might want to share with us?
I thank you, and I thank all your listeners and readers, so that let them don't forget, FEMA is still here. Let them go to the FEMA disaster recovery centers and the document drop-off centers to drop their documents. This process is ongoing. The only thing I have to add is that there are going to be few changes in the time for starting next week. So there will be different changes, just the timing, so that people will be aware of that. But again, that is something, once I get all those dates confirmed and everything, I'll be able to update you. We can come back here, and maybe we can also do what we call a weekly update of FEMA operations on the ground, so that we can just update our listeners and readers about what is going on, what FEMA is doing, and where we are currently with this disaster.
That sounds great. That's a bet. We'll do that because
Thank you so much.
people are in dire need of the information and the services that you all offer. And once again, I just want to make sure that I have this right. You can apply for disaster assistance up until September 13th, correct?
Yes, correct. That is the deadline to apply.
Right, so there's no time to wait around. If you need help, you need to get on it right away.
That is true. Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you for spending some time with us this morning. You've given us a plethora of information, very useful information. And once again, we look forward to talking to you and getting those important updates.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Okay, and have a terrific day.
You too. Bye.